our journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean G. Morris. Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean G. Morris, and this is my podcast called Bravery Within. I'd like to thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day today and tuning into my podcast. I understand that everything is so busy, everybody's going so many different directions and stuff there, that just to take a few minutes to listen to my podcast and the information that I'm providing, to me is huge. It makes me honored to be a part of your life for a few minutes, and I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. There are tons of podcasts out there that you can listen to, and just the point of that you're making my podcast a part of your day is incredible. So I want to thank you very much for that. So today we are going to be talking about in episode 6, it's called Not Giving Up Everything That You Love to Eat and Drink, and the supplements that I use. I wanted to try to cover some bases today and give you a little bit more of a background of how I'm doing my weight loss. And I thought the best way to do that one there is to tell you about some of the things that I absolutely refuse to give up, even though I am going through my weight loss journey. I had to understand right out of the shotgun, and I wanted to make double sure that there are some things that I'm just not going to sacrifice. Now, granted, I've reduced my intake on them to help out with the caloric intake, but there are just some things that I had to admit to myself I'm just not giving up. Life is short, I understand that, and it may slow down my weight loss journey a little bit, but in the end, it helps me get through. It helps my soul, helps my brain, everything there. And it's kind of like a compromise of, going down this road, because this is a permanent change. I can't go back unless I want to blow up and go back to the almost 600 pounds that I was. And I'm just not willing to do that. So right out of the shotgun, I had to admit to myself, okay, there's some things I'm not going to give on, and there's some things I will. So it was kind of a give and take to start down this journey. So the 3 things that we're going to talk about today in this podcast, the first thing is going to be is figuring out how to move your daily caloric intake around to accommodate the increased calories of the stuff that you're not going to sacrifice on. So that's one thing. Second thing we're going to talk about are the supplements that I use to help me get through my weight loss journey and the behind the scenes and how I went about getting them and stuff. The third thing I'm going to talk to you about, which is going to make me hungry, is grilling your food and using an outside griddle. So what I wanted to do was just kind of give you a little bit of an idea how I cook, how I prepare stuff, how my son does. He's phenomenal out on the griddle. So that's all things that we'll talk about in the third section of this podcast. So as of right now, that's the game plan. So if you're ready to go, let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is figuring out how to move your daily caloric intake around to accommodate the increased calories. Like I was saying when I was leading out with the podcast and stuff there, I had to admit to myself, I had to say, okay, there are some things that I am just not going to give up. I am not going to change. I am not going to sacrifice absolutely everything that I like to make this weight loss journey happen. So I had to sit down and figure out and have a conversation with myself. And let's be honest, I about lost the conversation. The voices in my head would say one thing, I would say another thing, and then we got in an argument, and then I both, just kind of went to our corners and we just gave up for a little bit, and then we met in the middle again. So I had to factor in the other thing of, I can't exercise the way everybody else does. I can't go running. I can't go jogging. I can't go hiking. Working out is a little more doable from the waist up and stuff there. My joints are breaking down. It's just a matter of time. My knees kill me. My ankles kill me. By the end of the day, most of the time, I have a hard time even walking. So I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to figure this out where how am I going to get this weight off without being able to use the traditional exercise routines? Now, yes, I know that you can go to the swimming pool and stuff there. That takes weight off the joints and stress off the body. And my good friend does that. She's phenomenal at it. She's, sticks with the routine and she goes constantly and it helps her out. Yes, I absolutely love water. I love being in water. I love going to the lakes, pools, and everything there. But let's be honest, I am not going to be caught without a shirt on. Sorry. I haven't done that since, I don't know, I was 3. Not going to happen there, especially the way I look. And I know that's not the right way of looking about it. So I had to admit right out of the shotgun, I'm not going to be exercising. So what is the best way of going about this? And the only answer that I basically could come up with, and in my head, doing research, going on Google and trying to figure stuff out before I started down my weight loss journey, is I have to control my caloric intake. I have to make sure that I'm taking in less calories than what I'm burning, but I don't want to go too far one way. You go over, say, using hypothetical numbers, say you don't go over 2,000 calories per day. Well, at that point, it's recommended that if you're just as simple 250 calories less, you're gonna lose weight. It's gonna slowly come off. So I figured that, okay, well, I'm a Taurus. I dive in head first, here we go. And I dropped my caloric intake from between 7,000 and 8,000 calories per day. I dropped it to 1,200. Let me tell you, it's probably not the smartest thing to do. And let me tell you, it had its own set of problems that went right along with it. But I have been so determined to get this weight off. I got over 30 years of fat that's on me, and I'm determined to take it off. So with my mind set, I knew that I couldn't take in the calories. So I figured if I'm not supposed to take in more than 2,000 calories a day on the recommended level and stuff there, then I needed to really cut down. So that's why I went to 1,200. But I went to a website and I checked this out in a couple different places out there before I did it. And given my height, given my frame, given what I do at work, what I do at home and everything else, I should hold right around 3,200 calories per day to maintain. That's why I decided to go to an extreme of 1,200 to get started. I don't maintain there. I try to keep myself between 1,700 and 1,800, maybe 1,900 per day. That is still well below than what's recommended, even at the 2,000 calorie rate, and certainly above the 3,250 that I need to keep functioning. Now, do I have problems once in a while? Yes, I have what I classify as bottoming out. I run out of energy, and that's not good. Typically, it'll kick off a migraine. My joints can hurt a little bit more. I get irritable. So I have to be really, really careful. Typically, I'm careful all week. Normally, Wednesday is my day. I have to be careful. I got to bottom out. So what I try to do is if I know I'm going to, I try to adjust by 100 or 200 calories to pull me through. And then normally I have to bounce up my carbs a little bit because I keep them so restrained back that there's not a lot for my body to run on. And some of this I'll explain a little bit more when we get into the supplements part. But when all said and done, I knew I had to be way below what I needed to keep running on if I was going to lose weight. And being that I couldn't exercise in the normal way, this was the only way that I could figure out how to do it. So I just was drastic. Every day I watch, every day I count. Yeah, it does get old at times, but one thing that I take into account, and you can take into account if you want to, is protein is a different, a way of counting the calories and stuff there. I am extremely protein heavy. Everything I eat is protein, protein, protein. That's how I'm doing this, and it keeps me going. And typically my suppers involve a little bit more carbs, not typically much more calories, but normally, a couple hundred more because I've got to go through the whole night and I want to be able to sleep. So I've got to be able to have the energy to do that. But throughout the day, I take very little, my calories are down, my carbs are just cut in half. I mean, probably more than half. They're probably cut down by 90%. Like I said, it's probably not recommended. So if you're going to try some of these things, it's at your own risk. So just be very careful and listen to your body. It'll tell you what's, if it's too much, too little. It'll talk to you. You just got to learn how to listen to it. And it took me a little bit. I'll be honest, there's still some days that I argue with it. But for the most part, I win. But once in a while, it'll pull a cheap shot and I'll bottom out. And then I got to eat something. So you just get used to listening to your body and seeing how you feel, how you operate. If you're getting sluggish, your vision blurs a little bit, or you just can't concentrate, like your brain's wrapped up in a blanket, you're bottoming out. It's too low. So get some get some calories in you pretty quick, and keep going. But try to do it healthy calories if you can. That's where my Nutri-Grain bars come in, my meat sticks, my cheese, different things like that. I will have my Honey Nut Cheerios and stuff there that helps me pull through, so I get the grains and everything else. I typically bounce back pretty quick. But that's the way that I do. And like I said there, that, I think of as the calories as basically like my checking account. Okay, I've got $100 in my checking account. I know I can't spend more than that. So if I want to save some of it, I only spend $70. So that leaves $30 left over, which means, I've got extra to move around. If you spend more than you have, it's kind of like going over in calories. If you eat too many calories, well, the fat comes back on, which basically in your checking account, you're overdrafted. So they're both negatives, and that's the way I look at it. So if I stay under what I'm supposed to spend in my checking account, that means I've taken in less calories than I need, which means I burn calories and I keep money in my checking account. Weird, but it works in my head, and I've explained it to several people, and they like that analogy. They said they can understand where I'm coming from. So I'm hoping maybe that will help you a little bit, so you can see where I'm coming from. It's a give and take thing. Like I said, listen to your body. It'll tell you what's going on. It'll, if you're doing something wrong, it'll let you know. And the more you lose weight and stuff, your body will start talking to you more and more, that I've learned. And I found that it really helps to listen to it, because then I can make immediate changes, and I know, okay, this isn't working, or that's working, or I can shift here a little bit. But when all's said and done, I'm just really, really careful, trying not to bottom out, because it just leads to migraines and different things. So I try to be really careful, and I know it's not good on the organs, and it's not good on the internals, not good for the brain. So I'm just real careful with stuff. So, and I'm getting better at it. I'm not perfect, but I am getting a little bit better at understanding when my body feels a certain way, then I make the changes. So the three things that I sat down and I had it in my head and I wrote it down. And these are the three things that I absolutely refused to budge on. I refused to give up. The first one's Mountain Dew. Yeah, I can hear you all groaning out there saying that's the second worst pop in the world for sugar, for carbs, for blah, 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 blah. Okay, you can tell me all you want. I'm not giving it up. I've had plenty of people to come after me and say, you know what, you need to stop drinking that, go to diet. Sorry, this is one thing that it's non-negotiable in my book, and I'll never give it up. I'm hoping my son will probably put a 12-pack when they bury me in the ground so I can keep drinking it. That's how how much I love it. But it also helps me, I do take in a little bit of sugar that way. So it helps me through the day, because I don't take any other sugar in. It helps with my migraines, helps keep them at bay, so that way I don't get so many. So I figure a Mountain Dew is 170 calories per can. So I factor that into the amount that I can take in per day. The second thing that I am absolutely not giving up is milk chocolate. I used to eat tons and tons and tons and tons of chocolate. Used to eat the cookie dough right out of the fridge. I could eat 3-4 chocolate bars a day. I'd have my chocolate covered cherries. I'd have chocolate this, chocolate that. Oh boy. Okay, I had a lot of it, but one thing that I did is I cut that down, and I'm proud of myself for saying this, that I've taken my chocolate intake almost to zero. Before, I probably was having 3,000 calories per day, and I couldn't even tell you how many grams of carbs and calories and sugars and blah, blah, blah that I was taking in. I probably don't even want to know. I thought about trying to figure it out, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going down that road, because there's nothing good that's going to come out of it. So what I do is I buy the king size candy bar, because they're broken up into four things. There's 3 pieces per chunk, so I can have it over 4 days. Now, some days I don't even have any. I get lucky and I don't. The weekends I rarely have anything. I don't have the candy bars at home, but I have them at work to help me get through in the mornings, because typically I haven't taken in any sugars or anything like that in. So what I've figured out is those 3 little pieces of the candy bar and stuff, there is 110 calories. So I factor that in. So far I'm at 280 calories. So you're already halfway through a meal, so I have to be really, really careful at this point how much I'm taking in. The third thing that I absolutely will not give up is dessert. I was raised that you had breakfast, lunch, dinner, or for old-fashioned folks like me, it's breakfast, dinner, and supper. But most people don't understand the term supper because it's an old-fashioned value. So it's easier breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So if I stick and I hold to my 1,700 calories per day, and I have to factor in because I got to come in at about 1,550 to make this work, because there is a dessert that I was able to find that is sweet but yet not overwhelming on stuff, and gives me that little bit of, okay, you did a great job with this. And it's a Danish that I get from my local grocery store, and I figured out how much it is for the whole thing. I cut them in thirds, and then for each section, it's 170 calories per piece. Now, if you factor all three of these in, that's 450 calories a day. That's a regular meal. So I have to be super careful, and I have to cut other places to make sure I can sneak in that 450. Now, if I go and eat a little extra rice, or I have an extra cheesy brat, or something along those lines, then I don't get my dessert. I have to cut those 170 calories out of my daily intake. Now, if I do all good and everything else, then I can have the desserts because I'm not going to go over. But I have to really be careful. But the Mountain Dew and the chocolate are unforgivable. The chocolate on the weekends, I don't typically have much, if any. So then I can gain those 110 calories and I can move it towards something else. The only thing that's 100% constant every day in my life is Mountain Dew. I'm not going to give it up. I hope to God to drown in a vat of Mountain Dew when I go overboard. I'll be happy. You can all think I'm weird. I'll try to drink my way out. I know I drowned. I'm happy. Woo! Moving on. So, knowing that I am not going to sacrifice or give in on those three things, I build in around 450 calories every day. So if I'm supposed to stay at the max 1850, instead of trying to remember 170, because I suck at math. So what I do is I figure back from 1850, I round 170 to 200. That takes me down to 1650 per day that I get to break up into 3 meals. Granted, it's not a lot. So if there's some days that I know I've bottomed out, then I don't get the dessert. I move that calorie to either another cheesy brat, or I take an extra hamburger, or I have extra cheese, or something like that. I just move it around. And that's what I mean by figuring out how to move your daily caloric intake around, so that way you can have the things that you want and things that are going to help you get through the day. That helps me stay on track. It's going to help me stay on my weight loss journey. And to this point, it has worked fantastic for the past 15 months. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, okay, the dessert, really? You're going to have dessert on a weight loss journey? Yes, because this is permanent. I'm not changing, so I knew I had to factor it in. And then I have others, and they've already told me that, well, maybe you're like 3 years old, because if you do everything right, you get dessert at night. However you want to phrase it, I'm fine with it. And yeah, I do actually think of myself as a 3-year-old, because if I go over, it's naughty, naughty. I don't get dessert. I move on, and it's like, oh, I kind of wanted that for today. But I'm not going to sacrifice everything that I have gained and moved forward with and done well with, 200 pounds that I've lost. I'm not going to sacrifice it for one night's worth of desserts. So I just know that I got to buckle down the next day and be good again. So, but I also factor in, okay, is it, did I bottom out? If I bottomed out, then I know it's too low. And it's a good thing. Move the dessert into some sort of food. Now, you're probably all sitting there thinking, and your head spinning, going, dear God, how does he figure all this stuff out? It took some time. I'm not going to lie. I didn't get this overnight. It didn't happen instantly. And it's now easier because I can factor in stuff. I know, okay, certain foods have certain calories, and that's why I try to stay to the proteins as much as I absolutely can. I have my chicken, I have my cheesy brats, I have the hamburgers, I have pork, bacon, anything like that. There, as long as you stay in cheeses, eggs, anything protein heavy, the calories, yes, you take calories in, but they mean different. And I've talked to a weight loss person about this, and it actually does. The calories, yes, you have to have them. Yes, they count against you, but they're actually a good calorie to take in. So it's actually better for you. So that's why I stay on the protein heavy thing. That's why another thing that I chose not to go with any of the weight loss programs. They're fantastic for folks. I'm not arguing that point. They help people out. I think it's fantastic. Great, go ahead. But the money that I would have spent on that, I use that to buy more protein, more different things there to help me through. because I don't have a large budget to work with. It's just not it. I mean, it's paycheck to paycheck, just like pretty much everybody else. So I've had to not only factor in, okay, what I can eat, how much I can eat, but then the price of eating. And I do pretty good. There's sometimes, it gets a little bit hard to try to buy the better food, but I've learned that you just feel better by taking the good food in. So sometimes I got to sacrifice things even more to make sure that when I go to the grocery store, I get what I need. And it still hurts sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, but hey, I just know in the end it benefits me and helps me. So I'm just not going to, worry about it. I'll just factor it in and away we go. So. But one thing that helped is by doing that, I didn't realize by making these changes how much that I did give up. I was really worried. Like I said before, I was worried about starving to death. Not going to lie, I thought, okay, I'm done. I'm finished. This isn't going to happen. I'll be, dead in the ditch somewhere within 3 days because I'll have, I have nothing running through me. Now, I'm not going to lie, for the first 2 weeks, I wanted to just drop off the earth and die. I mean, it was bad. But I knew I had to push through it because my body's detoxing. And some of the things that I gave up and I didn't realize it hurt in the beginning, and now it's like I don't even try to put them in the house, are like breads and starches. I lived on breads. Oh my goodness sakes. Pastas. Oh my goodness. I could live over in Italy eating that stuff all the time. Well, that food got me to where I'm at. Anything fried, if it had to be deep fat fried, everything, I got away from that. Fast food, I rarely eat anymore. I do eat out at restaurants, and when I do, I typically go to a sit-down restaurant with my family. So you can buy better food, you can, get better things, eat healthier. So I make sure I do that. Chips and dips, got rid of them, and I really honestly don't miss those. I thought I did, but I don't. Potatoes and gravy. In my area where I live here in Podunk, in the middle of nothing, this is ranching country, this is farming country, and I am so proud of our farmers and ranchers here. But when you're raised around here, everything is meat and taters. That's it, and vegetables. But we're not going to talk about that. But everything is meat and taters, and that's how everything was. I mean, everything was starches because those folks, they're hard working. They are working 12, 14, 16-hour days to make food for us and everything else there. So they need all that stuff. Well, somebody like me that sits behind a desk and pushes papers all day, I don't need all that carb intake. I don't need all that sugar intake. It tastes good. I love it, but it sure didn't do any good for me. Cereal, gave that up. I don't drink any milk. Dairy is rough on me, and it's gotten worse on me since I started my weight loss program. So I don't even try to have that anymore. French fries and tater tots. I love fries. Oh my goodness sakes. Those are such a weakness for me, and they still are. Kind of like you can put those in the same category as donuts. I really struggle when my work brings in donuts and they put them on the break table. It's like, oh, goodness sakes. Hide in my office so I don't smell them or I don't see them. Cakes, pies, brownies, the sweets. I did a lot of baking when I was younger. Still did a lot of baking there while my son was growing up. So you always made the chocolate chip cookies. You made no-bake cookies. I made lemon meringue pies, chocolate cakes, brownies. Goodness sakes, I ran the gambit on all that stuff because I ate my feelings and that stuff made me feel good. And it was like, oh, okay, gonna have a ton of it. So that's what landed me at 300 pounds. But the thing that shocked me the most is I really don't miss much of that. In the beginning, it took probably almost 6 months before those cravings and stuff kind of went away. People ask me all the time, how do you not eat it? I'm the type that literally I could walk down the chip aisle at the grocery store and I'd gain 2 pounds without even eating it. It's not even fair. It just somehow guess what? 2 more pounds, 3 more pounds, you get to figure out how to take off. I don't know how it works. It just works that way. So I don't really miss it. And when I'm grocery shopping and stuff, I don't go through the middle aisles. All your health food is all on the outside of a grocery store. And I thought when I heard that years ago, and I didn't take it into account until I started my weight loss journey, is they always say, stay to the outside of a grocery store. That's where all your healthy stuff is. That's where the coolers are. That's where you're going to find all your good food, your vegetables, your meats, your cheeses, your dairy products and all that stuff. And I said, oh, you're so full of hooey. Whatever, that doesn't work. And then I put it into practice of walking around my local grocery store and I was like, son of a gun, they were right again. So I try not to go through the middle aisles because typically that's where your noodles are. That's where all your fattening stuff is. That's where your taters are. That's where your gravies are. That's where your breads are and everything. All your sides like ranch dressing. Oh my goodness sakes. I could still drink ranch dressing like it was going out of style, but I can't have it anymore. I can have a little bit if I'm careful with like taco salads. I can have just a little bit to basically say, oops, there, and that's it. But I've been trying to switch over to sour cream because it's a lot lower in calories and all the way across the board. So I try to go through that. So I stay out of the middle of the grocery stores. And what I have found is by making these changes, working out with myself, as funny as it sounds, not giving up on those 3 items that, I said I'm absolutely not giving up on: my Mountain Dew, my milk chocolate, and my desserts. I just build in for it. It has helped me actually stick to my weight loss journey. And now I don't even look back. I don't regret it. It's like, oh my goodness. And once I started eating some of that stuff again, I just, I thought I would just try it. Sometimes my son will bring a bag of tater chips home. And I have a couple of them, and it's like, bleh, they're greasy, they're heavy, they're just... it's like even the ones that I used to like, the cheddar ones and the sour cream and onion and all those, I've tried them, and it's like these don't taste as anywhere near as good anymore, and they leave like a residue in my mouth. Now you're probably thinking, well, aren't you just a food snob all of a sudden? Okay, I got it. I agree with you. I never thought in a million years I'd be a food snob, where I only want the good stuff. I only want, things that are going to make me healthy, things that are going to work in my body to help generate energy, keep me moving. I never in a million years thought I would ever be that way. And here now I am without even realizing it. And it's like, I think about, do I really need that, running through my system, messing things up? I feel so much better. Granted, the stuff that I do eat is a lot better, like the Mountain Dew and stuff. I have backed off. I used to drink, oh my goodness sakes, probably, before I got my migraines, I was drinking at least a 12-pack a day without even missing a beat. And now I'm down to just a can a day, and that's it. I have tried getting away from it. It just kicks in migraines horribly. So I have my 1 can, leave it alone, and Merry Christmas. So it's like, it works. And right now I do have to make constant adjustments because of what I'm going through. My body changes and everything there. But that's one thing that's stayed constant, and it will stay constant. And I'm hoping, if I end up losing it, I'm hoping that a zombie apocalypse breaks out and then they eat me, so I don't have to worry about it because I can't live without Mountain Dew. So I just build it in, and that's how I move my caloric intake around to watch for, make sure I don't go over. And it just means everything to me to make sure that I stay within inside the guidelines that I have set up for myself. And in the beginning, it's tough, but trust me, it does get easier as you move on through your journey. So, another thing that I want to talk to you, the second part of this here, it's the supplements that I use to help me get through my weight loss journey. In the beginning, I'll be honest, I didn't take anything to help me on my weight loss journey. I was really worried about all the changes that I was already putting my body through by, dropping out the carbs, dropping out the sugars, dropping off the calories. I mean, I basically sent my body into shock. It didn't like me. I had some problems, I'm not going to lie. It was probably a bit drastic to go that cold turkey, but I'm an all or nothing. I don't know a happy medium. Let's just ease into this. So I didn't want to start the supplements right away. I wanted to make sure that I can do this. I've got this. I can take care of myself. I can take this weight off. I didn't need any help. So it was probably 6 months into my journey that I decided at that point, okay, maybe I need to go and talk to somebody about it. Now, my son has been fantastic about it. He used to do a lot of muscle building, weight building, all that stuff there. He's very actually knowledgeable in this stuff there. So he helped me out with the protein shakes. He helped me with the supplements to take, and he gave me an idea of what I should take. So what I ended up doing was I went down to our local nutrition store here in town, and walking in, I know they looked at me because you got these, these skinny buff people that are working in there, and everybody that was buying stuff is skinny and buff and perfect and, petite. And I walk in and boom, 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 because I'm 600 pounds and me want supplements, it's just how I felt. I felt so humiliated walking in there. But I didn't have anywhere else to go. And I have to be honest, the gentleman that works with me down there, I don't want to say his name because I'm not sure if I have permission to use his name or nothing there on this one here. But at the place is called Supplement Warehouse. He's the store manager. He phenomenal. He was, I think he's like 22 or 23 years old. He's in great shape. But he never, ever made me feel unwelcome, unwanted. He asked me what I was doing, and I told him what I was doing, and he stood there and looked at me and he says, how are you even standing upright? He said, how are you functioning on that little bit? I said, I don't know. I said, this is what I wanted to do. This is the calories I stay within. This is what I eat. And he goes, honestly, he said, I've been doing this for a lot of years already. And he said, I have no idea how you're functioning on that little bit. He said, you're a big man. He said, I'm not talking fat wise. He said, you got size to you. He said, I don't understand how you're doing it. I said, I don't either, but I am. And at that point, I think I'd lost about, 40 or 50 pounds, I'm guessing, somewhere in that range already. So, the weight was already coming off, but I still was huge. I'm still big, but let's be honest, I was a lot bigger then. So we spent 25 minutes going through things. He was extremely patient. He walked me through different supplements. He said, honestly, he said, you're doing all of this. He said, you're doing fantastic, but we want to start you off slow. So we went through several different products, and I took a look at them, and I got the ones that I felt I was comfortable with. And I only started out with one right away. I didn't do any more than that. One supplement, and then I had basically a testosterone one because I'm 48, and all the research showed as men get older, our testosterone drops off. That's why our weight comes on. That's why we lose our muscle. There's all kinds of medical reasons and blah, blah, blah behind it. So I knew that I wanted to bolster that up a little bit to try to help me. I come to find out from my muscle guy and stuff there, my nephew, he told me, he says, you got to be really careful with testosterone. He said, because a lot of people can overrun on it. And he said that can actually really damage some stuff. So he said, be really, really careful with that. He said, technically, you should talk to a doctor before you even start it, because he said your body's that sensitive to it. And of course, I already jumped in and already started taking it. So I said, oh, well, guess what? It's already working. So I moved on and ignored him again. He's a good kid. And I think if he didn't live 6 hours away, he'd have come over and punched me and left again. And I would have deserved it. But I knew that I didn't want to immediately jump into the supplements craze and just go all in, buy a ton of things, spend hundreds of dollars, and just start flooding my body with them. I told him, I said, I'm only going to do this very slowly and a little at a time, because I am not taking the chance of messing up what I was already working. He said, no, we don't want to do that. He says, you're doing fantastic on your own. He said, the supplements are just to help. They're not going to do all the work. They're not going to be, any more than what you use them for. He said, most people rely on them. They take, well, I'll take some pills. It'll burn off. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to change what I eat. I don't need to change how I sleep or my hydration. And he said, you have already done that. He says, you've already made the hardest change of dropping your calories. He said, watching your diet, cutting out all the bad stuff, drinking more water, and all that stuff. I said, yep, I've already made it. So he said, okay, this is actually a good time to start supplements. He said, if you'd have come in at the beginning, he said, I wouldn't have sold them to you. I'd have told you, no, you need to just go leave and come back and talk to me after you've done the adjustment to make sure that you're going to get the most out of the supplements. So I said, well, that's perfect that I waited 6 months before I got started on these then. So we spent, like I said, 25 minutes. He showed me things. We talked about things. And after I told him what I had been doing, there was actually, it really blew me away, because there was a nice guy that was also in there getting things. And he looked at me and he says, good for you. He said, it's amazing. He said, you are so awesome to be able to take that step, make those changes, and basically lose the weight on your own. So he said, you're going to go far with all of this stuff. And I said, well, thank you. I said, I'm really proud of it. So I figured out, and the product, now take into account, I'm not getting paid for talking about this stuff. Nothing. I don't make any money on any of this stuff here. I'm only saying these because they work for me, and I'm hoping maybe they'll work for you. So basically, go in, talk to them yourself, or wherever you feel like going to get them when you get to that point, and see what they got to recommend. Like I said, I don't make anything at these. Use the supplements at your own risk. This is just information. I'm not telling you to go out and buy these products. I don't endorse anything, nothing like that. But this is just solely what I use, and it's up to you if you want to use them and try them. So the first thing that I use, and I take 2 pills in the morning, 2 pills at night. I started out with just 2 in the morning to see how they went. And I did that for like 2 months, maybe almost 3. Because I ended up going through a bottle, and there's a 90-day supply in there if you take it. They want you to take 6 per day, morning, noon, and night. That's too much. I'm not going to push myself through it. But the first product that I use, it's called CLA 1000. It helps ignite the body's fat metabolism, helping your body break down and burn fat, and it helps you manage the fat content and weight like never before. Yes, I copied that from the website because I want to make sure I explain it correctly. The moment that I started just taking the 2 in the morning, it was amazing, the jump start that I got. I mean, there was a ton of energy that I got from it. I noticed that I filled up faster, and I seemed to go further. And the moment that I started taking that, I could see a huge difference in dropping my weight. It was crazy. I mean, I didn't think anything like that worked. But because I was already eating a lot of proteins, I'd cut out the sugars, I'd cut out the carbs, it gave the pills a chance to actually target the fat in my body and start making my body burn it. And then as I eat, because I take them about 10 minutes before I eat, then that gives the chance for them to block any of the new fat that's coming in from my food, whatever fat's in there and stuff. So it made a huge difference. I can't even begin to tell you the difference that it makes. It's an amazing product. The second thing that I started out with after I did that, and then I switched into, I still only take 2 in the morning, 2 at night. I don't take any more because in the middle, at lunchtime, I take what's called Muscle Vite. That is a high-tech multivitamin that basically is set up for any bodybuilders, athletes, anything like that are super high active. One thing that you have to be really careful when going through this that I've learned as you're going through massive weight loss like I am is your body will at some point start turning on, it burns the fat, but it will start turning on your muscles. And I didn't know that in the beginning. So I got kind of worried about that. So after I think it was about the 11-month mark is when I introduced this. I started in 6 months for the CLA, and then I waited about 5 months, and then we introduced the Muscle Vite into my diet and stuff there. And I only take 2 per day, and you're supposed to take more, but I only take 2 per day. Like I said, I don't do any of these full on. Just basically because I know I'm doing good on my own. These are just to assist, and I don't want to overwhelm my body, so I'm really careful with it. But the Muscle Vite is incredible because what it does is it protects your muscles. So that way your body doesn't, because it's easier to break down muscle than it is to break down fat. And I already got the CLA 1000 running through my body saying, okay, let's burn all this up. But also at the same time, the Muscle Vite will kick in and protect my muscles as the CLA works. He said it's a good combination of the two. So I've noticed that I have better muscle tone, and I haven't even been exercising, but I can feel it working in my body when I have it at lunchtime. I can feel it kick in, and it's like it's another step of burning fat, and it turns it into basically the energy to run through my body to keep myself getting going. It's an incredible product. Like I said, I'm not getting paid for these. This is just what I take. So take the information as it is and however you want to do it. The only other thing that I take, and I can already hear the men out there groaning and saying, I don't need this, but I take what's called testosterone 21. I started this probably about 3 months after I started the CLA because I had did some research and stuff there that all men, we all lose testosterone. It's just getting older. That's just the way it is. There is no stopping it. There's nobody immune to it. Nothing there. And it helps basically It helps build testosterone production in my body. It gives me more strength, more energy. For people that work out, it helps you, the physical part of it. It helps, continue to build things and work up from there. I've got a huge list that's sitting on my screen saying what it does and what it doesn't, but I don't want to get too far into it, because if you're interested, take a look at it. Testosterone 21, but it does help me. I do feel better. My mind works better. I feel younger because I've got more testosterone going through me. Now, I'm supposed to be taking more than 2 pills a day. I think I'm supposed to be taking 6, but I only take 2 because I don't want to overwhelm it. And I didn't go see a doctor like my nephew told me to do. So by doing these little bits, it hasn't affected my body except making things better. If something doesn't feel right, that's why I introduced 1 pill at a time in about 3-month increments. I didn't take them all at once. I didn't go max on anything. And like I told my friend down there at the store, is I'm only going to do 1 at a time. I am not going to go all in. I want to see how these supplements affect me. And if I know that one, as soon as I start taking it, throws me off, it's done, throw it away. I'm not gonna basically sacrifice my body by trying to get the fat off of it. So, and he said, that's a great way of doing it. He said, I wish more people would do it that way. He said, just do a little at a time and find out what works for you. We have changed one of the products. There was another testosterone one that I was taking, but this one here is a little bit more powerful. That's why I keep it on the low end. But he said you'll get more out of it because it's designed to work with the CLA a little bit more. And the Muscle Vite that I take, he said it's basically like these 3 is a great combination. So that's why I just take those. So I can go through them, like the CLA and the Muscle Vite. They're all $15.99 a bottle. I looked it up and stuff, and that's what I paid last time. The testosterone runs higher. It's $49.99 for 90, and they're all 90-day. They all run me about 90 days, but they're supposed to be only 30 days. But being that I take a lot less of them and it still helps me, I can stretch them out further, which means my budget can handle working them in. So I'm really, really careful with them. But like I said, start very, very slow if you're interested in it, but try them at your own risk. This isn't on me. This is just information. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert. I'm not a weight loss person. This is just what I am doing to get the results that I have gotten so far. So I just want you to know that. But down there, they were fantastic. They've taken care of me, and I've sent a lot of friends down there. They've treated them the same way. They've been good to them. So I just recommend talking to somebody. But when all said and done, really, you probably should talk to a doctor first before introducing anything to make sure that you're all right and you didn't, take something you shouldn't have. Because the last thing I want to do is, okay, this is what I'm doing. You try it, but it might interfere with some of the medication you're already taking. I don't want that to happen. So just be very, very careful, please. If you're gonna start introducing these in to your weight loss journey, just make sure that you do it a little at a time. Don't go all in. Don't go lock, stock, and barrel. Don't go crazy, because more than likely, like the gentleman down there told me, he says most people will come in, buy $300, $400, $500 worth of supplements, go all crazy, give up 2 weeks later because it made them feel bad. But they don't know which pills made them feel bad. They don't know the dosage that made them feel bad. They may have been able to back off. He said I did it the right way. He said 1 pill at a time, and then just ease into each one. So that's my thoughts. It's up to you. Remember, it's at your own risk, but it's completely up to you on how you want to, work them into your weight loss journey. We're starting to creep up on time here. So I got the 3rd section here and the final one. It's called grilling your food and using the griddle. For years and years and years and years and years, I have grilled. I've grilled steaks. I've grilled brats, hamburgers, pork chops, chicken, you name it. The grill is wonderful. I love the flavor. I love the smell. I love everything about it. But one thing that I was running into, and my son actually brought it up about a month ago. He brought up to me, and he'd been snooping around and seeing what it would entail. But the thing that he brought up was, he said, we need to get an outside griddle, Dad. And I said, why would we want to do that? And I should have never questioned him because I have paid for it ever since. The outside griddle is phenomenal. It's a 28-inch griddle. I bought it at my local hardware store. Thank goodness that they had it all put together. All I had to do was drag it home, hook up the gas tank, and away we went. But it gives us the option of being able to make more things, especially during the summer. You don't do a lot of cooking in the house because it messes up the AC. It heats up the house. You can't get the smell out. And I hate when you make tacos and the smell just lingers for 2 days in the house. It drives me nuts. But the griddle is outside. You can cook literally anything on it. It is absolutely phenomenal. Some of the things we've already tried on it are Philly cheesesteaks. That was the first night that we made anything. Oh, those are awesome. My son worked at a local fast food place here and stuff, so everything they made was on a flat top grill, and he is good at it. Oh my goodness sakes, he is so awesome at it. So he does, basically, I bought it, I'm not allowed near it. He does the cooking, and every time I get near it, I get slapped. So it's like, okay, well, guess what? I ain't gonna get near it. But he's a phenomenal cook. The only thing I did make on it was the next morning after we had those things, I made French toast and a hash brown mix. The hash brown mix, I take the hash browns, throw it on with a little bit of olive oil, so that way they stayed healthy. But I chopped up bacon, rotisserie chicken, sausage, onions, cheese, some of the Philly cheesesteak filling that we had left over from the night before. That all went in there, and a ton of eggs. And I browned them all up, cooked it all up and everything there. And oh my goodness, was that phenomenal. And that's the only time I've been able to cook anything on it. So the rest of this is all thanks to my son. That night he made smash burgers and put cheese on them and stuff there. It's all protein, kind of like the Philly cheesesteak. The only thing was the bun, but I didn't eat all the bun. Most everything is protein based, and he's very good about being careful with that and making sure that's all I eat. We have done pork chop steaks, the thicker pork chops. He had me marinate them. So I basically took a marinade, shot it into the middle of it all, then we threw it on the really, really hot griddle and cooked them. I don't think they cooked more than about 5 minutes. And got them up to where they need to be, and the meat thermometer told us when it was done. So we followed those. He put cheese on top of it. Amazing. Oh, those were so good. I couldn't eat them fast enough. The other night, which I'm going to put on my Facebook page as soon as I'm done recording this and stuff there, I'm going to put out, he made chimichangas. Holy smokes, were those good. He took 2 pounds of meat, cheese. He had found Velveeta, and Velveeta actually is not as bad as you think for calories wise and stuff there, so he just used a lot of it to melt up in there. Sauteed some onions and worked it all together, brought everything in. He had all kinds of different seasonings. We get tons of seasonings from Cabela's, and it's just crazy. I mean, we've got 2 cupboards full of seasonings, and I can't even keep up with them all. Put all that in there. He brought the meat and everything in. I wrapped them up in the tortillas, a low-carb tortilla that we use and stuff there. Took them back out to the griddle and cooked them up and stuff and warmed them up and everything. Meat and everything inside got ooey gooey and everything else there. Oh, my goodness. To be honest, I'm still having them for lunch. We made up so many of them. That way I can have them for lunch. And I figured it out. They're only, even with all that, there were only, I think, 18 grams of carbs per chimichanga, and these are huge. These are big things, and they factored out to be about 270 calories each. Amazing. And most of it is protein. The only thing bad was the wraps, but you need a little bit of carbs to get through the day for energy. So really, when you break it down, these are actually really healthy and good for you. And that's what we're constantly trying to find, is new recipes for that. I will at some point get the chicken noodle homemade soup on my Facebook page, and that figures in to be, I think that one figured out to be 210 calories per cup on it, and a lot of it is just protein as well, so it helps you. The only carbs basically you're getting in that is the noodles, which at night I need a little bit of carbs to keep going, so that's what I do. But thank goodness he introduced me to the griddle. It has really changed the way we cook. It's going to allow us to continue to cook through the summer. We've had the family over. There hasn't been anything bad that hasn't been made on that one there. They all love it. They love us cooking. He's very good at it. So it's something that, I think you should check into. Hopefully you have the room. I'm just lucky because I got a permanently covered deck, so we can cook when it rains, when it snows. As long as it's not too cold for the gas to run through the tank and the system, you can cook away. So that's one reason I put a permanent awning on my deck, is we can go outside and cook anytime. So just another idea for you down there. For the most part, honestly, the grill and the griddle has changed our lives. I love it. In fact, tonight I think I'm going to be grilling up some steaks and probably making up a stir fry on the griddle if he allows me to get near it. I probably won't. He'll end up making it, but that's okay. If he wants to, he's a fantastic chef. I mean, he is amazing. He's good with all the stuff. So, and I'm truly blessed to have him do that because it helps me stick to my routine, and he doesn't make anything that's not healthy. He researches everything. So what I'm going to try to do is put some of those recipes on my Facebook page to give you a little bit to work with to see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Maybe you can make a variation of it. Maybe it'll help you. I don't know, but I would just like to think that maybe something on the Facebook page will help you with your weight loss journey. So that's all I can hope for. But right now I'm over my normal limit and stuff there. So I'm going to finish up there today. And I just want you to know, remember all the negativity and everything out there and stuff there. Everybody's, against you and stuff there. I'm not. Just remember, you got this. Just always remember that no matter what, I believe in you. I know you can do this. I know you can stick to the plan, and I know you got this. So if you ever doubt it, please know you have one huge cheerleader always behind you, always rooting for you, always hoping for the best for you, because I know it's someday that you're going to post a picture on my Facebook page showing, hey, I made it. I did this. This is awesome. And I couldn't be happier for you, and I want to make sure we give you the kudos that we can. So, okay, like I normally do, my dad joke of the day to close out the podcast. So here's the new joke. Get ready to grow. Have you heard about this? Have you heard about the chocolate record player? Let me tell you, it sounds pretty sweet. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate you listening to the podcast, and as usual, all my love and support.